What's up, ladies and gents, and welcome back to Age of Empires Definitive Edition. We are here today with one of my favorite strategies, the Axeman Rush, and I am going to take you through it. Obviously, we want a quick tool age and then going to Axeman and harass our enemy, and we will just try to do exactly that. We are playing on a non-explored map, and the first thing you obviously want to do is build a house so that you can support getting out extra villagers. And then the next thing you want to do is build the granary here and have this guy scouting, and we want to send our villagers. Now this is a very bad placement, because this really limits the effectiveness of our berry collection. The fact that our berries are very much against this wood line, but we want to continue to scout and try to make sure you have at least 5 guys on the berries. You can also use 6, but yes, at least 5 guys on the berries is important. We are having 4 on the berries. This is the 5th, and we will use a 6th, and we will use this guy to build a house at the 6 of 8 population. And obviously we need to make sure that our food income is good enough that we can keep producing villagers. The start of the game is very similar across all strategies, and we're playing on highland, which means we only have land. I will make strategy videos with water maps as well of different varieties, but for the start, one of the easier strategies, we have 6 on the berries now, which is enough. One of the easier strategies is on land maps, and I want to focus solely on this right now. Obviously, you keep scouting with your villagers. In AoE 1 we have no dedicated scout unit. We have found the key resources, and that means we have found stone, our wood line, we have found the berries. So that's what we need for the moment. So we use him, and then we will scout in this area. I want to see if we have some deer or something to hunt, and we will build the next house with our scouting person. We will build it here to not delete this tree, and send the next guy onto the next tree. Obviously this wood income is here to A, build the houses, and B, to get towards the storage pit, which we will build on the wood line, unless we find a better suited wood line, which right now doesn't look like it, but we'll see. We keep scouting and we keep chopping these trees. And this is something I feared. Okay, there is a wood line, there is deer here. So this is where I want to build my storage pit so that we can make use of a deer. Remember, we are playing a very offensive strategy. Need a little more, there we go. And a very offensive strategy also means we don't need to defend at home as much. Can now use these guys, and they will go hunting, and we will keep producing villagers and start sending some guys up here to hunt. We have found an artifact, we can use that to scout. That is always useful. And these guys are now hunting. Also want these guys to hunt. And I want these guys to take this deer. And then once we have extra food, we build extra villagers and send them up here. And right now we are probably getting housed. Our food income right now is relatively low, which is why it was important to find that hunt. If you find an elephant, it makes a lot of sense to lure the elephant to your town center. That boosts your food income a lot. But alas, we have encountered a much more difficult situation here. We now are at a pop limit of 20, which is exactly the population we want to reach, and then we will be saving up for the tool age once we have a 20 pop. 3 more to train, so we have now spent all the food that we are going to spend, and I want to use this guy to scout out the map a little bit more. And it is important now that we are gathering some wood still, because obviously we want to build barracks later on. We obviously need the barracks for the Axeman Rush. And I'm now sending this guy out already. Oops, we only need 2 more. So here we have more deer, which is good to know, in case we need more. And right now we are in a saving mode of resources. And we will be sending this guy out as well. And now we are scouting already for the opponent. We try to make sure our food income stays active. And it has certainly been problematic that we didn't find an elephant. An elephant is obviously a very, very good source of food. And these guys already get stuck on each other. So that is bad. We are now just waiting for the 500 food, which is certainly happening a lot later than I envisioned. And we are trying to find our opponent here. This is very much happening a lot later than I envisioned. Now we can go to the next age. And once we find our opponent, we can then also start building barracks. Actually, I want to go for the lion instead. Lions are a food source. They are pretty easy to kill. And if you don't have too far to walk with them, then it's not a bad thing to go for them. There is a deer, and I think that we have found our enemy. Yes, we have. And now we want to build forward barracks here, from which we will attack. And obviously we will have to go into farms relatively early because we haven't had the wildlife here that I was hoping for, but getting a somewhat problematic game start isn't too bad. We also took quite a while to find the opponent, which obviously isn't ideal. You want to build clubmen relatively early on. And then if you can build a second barracks. There's an elephant, but that's not what you want to hunt with 2 villagers. We're also going to need a market. There was a second one here. Actually going to build this, and we're going to have to build a market. We are now upgrading to Axeman while building more here. And we obviously need to build more villagers as well, because villagers are important. Now, you do not want to attack their villagers with basic clubmen. You want to wait until you have the Axeman. That is certainly something to look forward to. If you have second berry bushes, make use of that as well. And we're trying to make use of the hunt here. And now we can start attacking, because now we have the units to do so. We will now send them to the hunt, because they will obviously have villagers at the hunt. And whenever we can, we will build new farms to increase our food income. And right now it's about dealing more damage to the enemy than you receive from them. And obviously also about having the wood income to get up extra farms. We'll send them back. And we now have 4 Axemen here, and they are relatively defenseless. And if you get up quick enough to the next stage, all they will have to defend is villagers. And then you just want to make sure you get as many villagers down as possible. And that you keep producing Axemen. Obviously you need to get your food economy in check. Unfortunately, we had comparatively little hunt to do it. But sometimes that happens. They have a slinger here. We're also in the tool age now, but probably a lot behind us. And right now what we want to do is harass villagers of the resources. Now if you're playing against a human player and they are running away because they are not prepared for an early rush, we will now try to make sure they do not get the hunt in as planned. So if they are running away from your rush and securing their villagers, what you want to do is take down their town center. If they are running away and they have to rebuild their base, then taking down their town center and preventing them from producing anything is a pretty good idea. And also, and that's very underrated, taking down their houses. Taking down houses is very underrated. Now obviously we want to continue to build up our economy while this is going on, so it's important we keep building villagers, or training villagers. These guys now go on to the woods, so they support the creation of extra farms. That was a horrible placement. And we also want to get this upgrade once we can, so we are now saving up a little bit on the food to increase the effectiveness of our units that we have here, and now we are just going for the kill. The Axeman Rush in general is pretty popular and pretty effective, and also one of the easier strategies to pull off. You can also go for the attack upgrade at this point in the game. And it would not be the worst idea in the world. Send them for the hunt. And right now they have to defend with their villagers here. And we have basically an all-out fight. And that would probably mean we have won soon. But yes, another thing that is very underrated, I don't know if I actually mentioned it or I just wanted to, so I'll just do it again, is destroying their houses. When they are running away and you destroy their houses, remember, they are in a very panicky decision if they are running away, and you can't get their villagers. So taking down their houses means they have to constantly replenish them, which costs them wood they don't really have right now because you are harassing them. So taking down the houses is certainly a good idea. Also, because houses are quick to destroy. And destroying a town center takes a long time. That keeps you busy for a very long time, while they can pretty much just do whatever. And we actually go for the attack upgrade because we're not really being attacked. And then once you feel comfortable and you feel like you have more or less won the game, then you can very much... And they have resigned. You can very much just start taking down the town center, start taking down other things, and you can also just stop producing and transition into the next age, because obviously you have built up your economy in the background while hurting theirs. And then you can obviously transition out of it, you stop producing, and maybe don't get the upgrades. You just said, okay, I've done some damage, I have transitioned into my economy, I've built it up, and I just wait and I'll get the resources for a Bronze Age and then push harder there. It all depends on how the push is going. You can also say, okay, I get 2 or 3 or 4, whatever, villagers more in the Dark Age, or what is the first age called? Is it Dark Age? Oh god. I am, what is it called? Stone Age! I'm sorry, wrong game. In the Stone Age. And if you say, okay, I get 3-4 villagers more in the Stone Age, that's possible. Then you obviously have a later Tool Age, your rush comes in later, and then maybe you use it as more of a defensive rush. So basically to keep them pushed back, but not really to do damage. So you keep them in their base with your sort of defensive rush, if you want to call it that, while booming your economy in the back. And there are a lot of variations to this. This is just one of them that I wanted to show you, a way to just relatively quickly at least harass your opponent. You can also build the barracks in your base and produce from your base in a more defensive strategy. If you think, okay, my opponent might be pushing me as well, I want to play it a little bit more defensive, then build the barracks in your base. There are so many variations which you can do off of this build, but I think the build itself was worth showing. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and until next time with another strategy video. Farewell.